Hi guys, this is Kayla.
And this is Becky with A Couple of Bees Read.
Yes, and this bee also writes. So I have recently started my newest project. And for those of you who followed us for a while, you know I write mysteries and thrillers, like kind of that combo, the genre.
Right.
And so with my next project, it is going to be straight up thriller. It's going to be espionage. You're going to know who the villain is, and it's a lot of suspense built in there. And because it is, even though again mystery and thrillers often go hand in hand, but because it is slightly different from what I usually write, I have been doing a lot more research than usual. So the book
sociopaths.
Yes. The book I'm working on deals with a deadly assassin who basically decides, I don't want to be a deadly assassin anymore, and turns herself into the government with the caveat that they have to hire a shrink of her choosing.
Yes.
To
a particular
help her
person.
deal with her antisocial personality disorder tendencies. So there's a lot of psychiatry in there. The main character is, of course, this assassin, and I'm being careful not to say names because in my process sometimes the names will completely change, so it won't do us much good if I say one name here and when the book actually comes out it's completely different. But she basically demands this one psychiatrist who is he's kind of been shamed. His dad was this famous criminal psychiatrist, and when this psychiatrist started his career, he kind of took issue with some of his dad's claims, basically that antisocial personality disorder couldn't be treated. And it is true that right now in the world of psychiatry, they don't have a definitive treatment for it. It is one of those things that is harder to diagnose. Most people who have that particular disorder, you've probably heard it as sociopaths or psychopaths, they're not gonna go to their shrink and be like, help me out, for the most part.
Because they don't know they need help.
Because they don't know they need help, or they think that not feeling guilt in the way that others do is actually a blessing rather than a curse.
Right.
So that is actually a big issue in that field right now.
Yeah.
And some of the research I've been doing into it kind of revealed that more and more. So, one of the main characters is this guy who's a psychiatrist, and most people didn't agree with his practices. He tried to treat people with antisocial personality disorder in the past, and it did not go well. Kind of led to some tragedy. So he's teaching freshmen Psych 101 at a university when the FBI comes in and was like, actually, we need to hire you to work with the world's deadliest assassin. Please fix her brain. And also help us solve this, or help us bring to justice this very bad person.
Yeah.
So that is the whole action behind it. So when I go into all of this to say, if you are writing, if you're considering writing, research first, because the book I thought I was going to write is very different from the book I'm actually writing now. And my process is research first, then I go into, basically I do a beat sheet. I've used Save the Cat before. It's very similar to what I do. So if you haven't read Save the Cat Writes a Novel and you're thinking about hopping into the world of writing novels, definitely check that one out. But I do a beat sheet and then I do a very detailed outline. So now the beat sheet is finally done, and it has changed so many times because of the research I've done. I've been researching actual academic articles on sociopaths and books written, and of course the new book by Patrick Gagne, Sociopath, which is a memoir of a psychiatrist who also is a sociopath. So you get that from her perspective. So if it's a field that interests you, definitely check that out. But all of that research has led to what was, almost a comically underdeveloped character to being very well developed. And then this past week, I started doing research on the mafia and the mob, listening to podcasts and reading articles. And I don't want to say who this character is based off yet in case she changes more, but the villain has been really well defined now. And my other advice is plotting for me, like actually sitting down and doing the beat sheet, is in many ways like the worst thing about writing, because there's so many times I get to a point where I'm like, I just don't know. And so for fellow writers out there, if you're in the process right now and you've gotten to that point, my advice is do some more research. Step back, listen to a podcast.
Take a trip.
That's another thing. So now that I've gotten my characters, now that I've gotten my plot, I know where the climax happens, and it's going to happen in Savannah, Georgia.
And guess where we're going to do research?
Yes. Becky has been on a research trip with me before.
Yes.
And it was so much fun. We might have almost got kicked out of Fort Morgan. I mean, it's a little sus when people are like, this would be a great place to hide a body. Kayla, come look at this. Like, maybe a little bit. And if you ever wanted to look back far enough, that video is on our blog where we took our research trip.
We have some eerie stuff on there.
Yes, we did, because Fort Morgan is very haunted and
it's supposed to be the most haunted place in America. So,
So we're very much looking forward to going to Savannah. I'm very much looking forward to how seeing the location changes the story, emphasizes the story. And when I write, I try very hard to like bring locations alive. And that is the one thing that even in the many rejections I've gotten has always been something that people have commented on, is I felt like I was there. You did well building the location. It's like, great.
I published my book.
Yes, exactly. But so that is my advice for writers today: is research. Then start plotting your book. Or if you're not a plotter, start writing your book. I know a lot of pantsers, I think, who's it, Karen White, who just will sit down and write. And it amazes me, people who can do that. Congrats if you're that person. That's not my process, but definitely do your research. Even if it's just like, you want this type of character, delve into some psychology, do your due diligence, and you should be able to combat writer's block and get started on hopefully something wonderful.
That we would like to read.
Absolutely. All right, guys, so if you have any questions, fellow authors or readers, please put them in the comments. I want to start doing authors tips more regularly, so just let us know.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.